Okay, we'll get going. Right, I'd like to extend a really warm welcome to everyone who's joined us today for this information session on Summer School 2021. My name is Rob Igglesden and I work as University Relationships Manager for Summer School, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to the programme today. Whether it's early in the morning for you, as it is for us, or in the afternoon or in the evening, we're really pleased you could join us. And actually, we're always fascinated to know where people are joining us from. So if you hover on your screen, you'll see there's a chat function. It would be great if you could drop in there the country you're joining us from this morning, so you can also see for yourselves the sense of diversity that we have on the programme. I'm pleased as well that you're going to be joined today by Professor Susana Mourato. This is the Summer School Academic Director. She's going to give you an introduction to LSE and the Summer School programme. After Susana's spoken, I'm going to give a kind of broader introduction to the programme itself with some practical details about how to apply. And our colleagues from the LSE Accommodation team will also be presenting some details about the halls that are on offer to summer school students. As well, we have a summer school alumnus, Akbar Alif Naseer, who is currently a law student at the University of Oxford and studied with us in 2019. And we're really delighted that he's going to be able to share his perspective on the programme and his experiences towards the end of the session. After that, we go into a question and answer session, which is your opportunity to ask us anything that's pressing and that's been on your mind. But actually, whilst we go through the slides, again, if you hover on your screen, you'll notice in there that there is a Q&A function. Now, please feel free as we go to ask your questions in that Q&A section. I have colleagues from the Summer School team itself supporting in there, and also a colleague Emerald from the LSE International Visa Advice team there to give some kind of general support on any visa queries. So please feel free to drop your questions as we go, but for now I'm going to hand over to Susana.
Thank you, Rob, and hello everyone. It's nice to have you all here in the session today. I will introduce briefly the LSE and the LSE Summer School, and then pass over to Rob again, who will go over some more detailed information about the summer school. So LSE has a long distinguished history, and we are actually celebrating our 125th anniversary this year. LSE specializes in the social sciences, and we have a global reputation for excellence. We are routinely ranked as one of the top social science universities in the world. 13 of the LSE disciplines are placed in the global top 10, according to the QS university rankings. For example, my own department, Geography and Environment, is ranked second in the world, as are the Social Sciences and Management. The school was founded in 1895 with the aim of contributing to the betterment of society. This is still at the heart of LSE today, and we seek to make our research and our teaching practical and relevant to the real world. The school has been on its current site in the very heart of London since 1902 and is positioned close to the city's financial and legal centres, as well as the UK's seat of government. And this is appropriate and very convenient given the active role that LSE plays in current affairs. The school is strongly committed to an international outlook, and you will find that our staff and students come from all over the world. I come from Portugal, for example, and nearly half of our LSE's teaching staff are from outside the UK, and many of them teach in the summer school. We have a global network of more than 150,000 alumni from 200 countries. Many of our academics and former alumni are key influencers in areas from global finance and economics to public policy and climate change. LSE is linked with 37 world leaders, past and present, that have studied or taught here. We also boast 18 Nobel laureates, the most recent being the former president of Colombia, Juan Manuel Santos, who won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2016 for his efforts in bringing the Colombian Civil War to an end. But we have many other notable alumni. For example, a young John F. Kennedy studied with us for a year in 1935, philanthropist and billionaire investor George Soros, as well as the 10th president of India, K.R. Narayanan. And I should also mention that Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones also studied with us, though we are unable to class him as a proper alumni because he failed to complete his course and went on to pursue global stardom instead. He, of course, is welcome back at any time to finish his course or to take one of our exciting summer school courses. Right, about the summer school. The summer school was founded over 30 years ago in 1989, and in the past 3 decades has grown to become the world's largest summer school by international enrollment, with some 8,700 enrollments in 2019. The summer school program makes LSE's world-leading teaching and research accessible to a worldwide audience, and it's an integral part of the school's mission to educate for global impact. The summer school offers you the best of LSE, including expert teaching by world-leading academics and a series of exciting subjects with a globally relevant curriculum. This includes not just the key subjects of finance, economics, marketing, and management that you would expect to find at LSE, but also courses covering other fundamental areas that address the big challenges of the world today, such as environmental economics, behavioral economics, development economics, cyber law, data science and machine learning, role of media in the modern world, capitalism, democracy, inequality, and so on. In addition to the academic content, the summer school also offers you a series of professional skills workshops and a social program that will help you to make new friends and establish networks with people from all around the world. Rob will talk more about that in a moment. This year, given COVID-19, we are pleased to be offering a choice of delivery mode, allowing students to either join us in person in London or to join us remotely. And Rob will give more details about this later in the talk. This in-person program will run in what we call a blended format. 2/3 of the teaching will take place in person, in safe, socially distanced environments. This includes all seminar-style classes and half of the lectures. The other sessions will be delivered live online. Students will also have the option to study the entire summer school course on a fully remote basis if they prefer. Both formats, whether in person or remote, offer 54 hours of contact time per course, just as in previous years. We've made these adaptations to offer more flexibility for our students worldwide, allowing them to come and receive an excellent educational experience for everyone in a safe way. I will pass over to Rob now, but hope to meet many of you next summer in whatever format you choose to study with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Susana, for the introduction. And now on to obviously what is the most important element of summer school, and that's our students. And the really important thing for me to say is how proud we are of the diversity of the student body on the programme. As you'll see from the screen, the majority of attendees are current undergraduates, so students will often be joining us for a study abroad experience and to earn credit towards their home degree. But we're also really pleased to welcome many postgraduates and working professionals onto the programme. So in 2019, the last summer school, we had over 1,000 course enrolments from these groups. So we're really delighted that summer school has a broad appeal. It's a qualification that can obviously benefit what you're doing on your home degree, but also enhance a professional CV. To give you an example, in a typical law course, summer school course, of course, there'll be many law undergraduate and postgraduate students in there, but as well, you may find that you're working alongside people with 10, 20, even 30 years professional in the legal industry. So that's obviously a great opportunity for them to go back to the classroom and to learn new ideas and be surrounded by young people learning the profession. But as well, for you as the students, of course, it's great to get that kind of exposure to that experience and new insights and new ways of thinking. Okay, the second element of that diversity is just the huge global appeal of the programme. On our most recent programme, we had 116 nationalities represented. So that was actually students joining us from every continent apart from the Antarctic. And that included applicants representing over 1,200 universities globally. So we really do attract students from all of the top schools in the world. And as you see there, that table displays some of the universities from which we get the largest student enrollments. So it really has a kind of global appeal, and it has a great recognition with universities, and we're delighted to work in partnership with many universities who actively promote the programme to their students. And actually, some schools' curriculum and the teaching staff reflect the international ethos of LSE. So nearly half of LSE's full-time teaching staff are from outside of the UK, and many of these teach on the programme. Okay, on to the academic information. Obviously, it's kind of the core of your summer school experience. So a few practical details to start with. Summer school itself is split into three-week sessions. So it runs for 9 weeks across the summer, but students can join us for 1, 2, or even 3 sessions. And actually lots of students do choose to join us for more than one session. It was over 1,000 in 2019 did take advantage of that option. So expanding to those 3 sessions has allowed us to improve availability of our most popular courses. So if you've already had a look at our course options, you'll notice that some courses appear twice. So they are exactly the same course. They're just so popular, we run them twice to make sure we've got as good availability as possible on those courses. And the curriculum and learning experience. So these courses are based on typical LSE undergraduate courses, and they're very much taught to the same high standards. So this really is an authentic academic experience of LSE. Courses are split across 3 levels, and they're broadly equivalent to the 3 years of undergraduate study in the UK. So you can see on the screen there, 100, 200 and 300 level. So 100 level is what we describe as an introductory university course. 200 level is intermediate, and 300 level is our advanced courses, so equivalent to a final year undergraduate course or kind of first year postgraduate course. And actually some of our 300 level courses, especially in our research methods, data science and mathematics stream, are particularly popular with graduate students and working professionals. But it is important to say that you're not necessarily restricted by your current level. If you're a first year student now, it may well be that you're eligible for lots of our 200 level courses and possibly even our 300 level courses. I'll come back to that when I talk about entry requirements. But yeah, again, if you're a third year student, it may well be that you'd like to take a first year course. And actually that's one of the big appeals of summer school. We have lots of students who will join us because it's a great opportunity for them to study courses outside of their home degree, so to build experience in an area that perhaps they're thinking about with their degree in mind. So to give you an example, I've fielded applications from fashion degree students before who are really interested in going into the kind of the business side of the fashion industry, so they will come to us and take some introductory courses in business and management. As you'll see as well on the screen there, we've got courses offered across LSE specialist subject areas in the social sciences. As Susana mentioned, we're Europe's leading institution for the social sciences. So our programme really is designed to reflect the breadth of LSE's expertise. So, I mean, you can see the subject fields on the screen, but they actually represent 15 academics across the school. So we're rightly famous for economics, of course, but actually our strengths lie well beyond that. I've been to study abroad fairs many times and seen people walk past the stand and seen the LSE logo and said, oh no, it's just for economics. That's very much not the case. To give you an example there, we're ranked top 10 globally by QS subject rankings for accounting and finance, business and management, geography, law, politics. So whatever your subject area, you can be rest assured that you're in the hands of world-leading experts. Okay, onto the courses themselves. On the screen there, you'll see a sample of the courses that we're offering. Now, that is not the full list. It's just really there to give you a kind of flavour of the types of courses that we offer. Where you see 1 dot, 2 dot, or 3 dots, that represents the level of the course. So whether it's a 100, 200, or 300 level course. So it's a really wide range of courses that we offer. So over 50 courses across the summer in 2021. Okay, and another core component of the academic experience is, of course, the opportunity to learn from and engage with leading LSE faculty from across the school. To give you a few examples, from the screen there, Professor Laura Baer, she's the head of the Department of Anthropology, and her most recent book explores why austerity dominates in state policy and how we can change this, and whose current research focuses on the unequal effects of COVID-19 on vulnerable UK communities. She teaches on summer school course Culture and Globalisation, which seeks to understand the effects of globalisation and explores what its future might be. In the middle there, Professor Eric Neumeyer, he is a member of the LSE Senior Management Committee. He teaches on summer school course Environmental Economics and Sustainable Development. And outside of his work as a lecturer, he's an associate of the Centre for the Study of Civil War at the Peace Research Institute, Oslo, and at the Grantham Research Institute on Climate Change and the Environment at LSE. And Dr. Swati Dhingra is an associate professor of economics at LSE. Her research focuses on globalisation and industrial policy. She's the co-author of a report on life after Brexit, so obviously a big topic for us here in the UK now, which is looking at the UK's options outside of the EU. She's also an associate editor of the Journal of International Economics. So it's just 3 examples. We have many full-time LSE academics teaching on the programme, but what they're meant to show is really that you'll get exposure to leading academics who are very much actively involved in both academic research, but life beyond the university. So these are people with connections that go beyond LSE, who use their work to influence government policy and advise leading global companies. So they really play a key role in supporting LSE's mission to shape global affairs. Okay, and returning now to something that Susana mentioned at the start of the presentation, and that's about our delivery modes that we're offering this summer. So it really is about offering enhanced flexibility given what's happening with the wider circumstances. So we are running at the same time, and we are offering this option for all courses, a blended on-campus programme. So you would join us in London for that. The majority of your teaching, 2/3 of the teaching, would take place face-to-face, and that would be running in socially distanced environments. And that teaching as well would be complemented by 1/3 of online lectures. And that's so that we can rotate our classrooms so we don't have packed out classrooms. So this is all about kind of ensuring safety. The second option is to join us remotely. So these are the same courses and an equivalent academic experience, but you'll be dialing in from wherever you are in the world on a remote basis. So we'll be running classes at different time slots in the day. We know from the chat already that we've got people joining us today from all over the world. So of course we'll be guided by British hours, British summertime hours, but we'll be running classes in the morning and the afternoon to try to reach as far a global kind of audience as is practically possible. So just a word on the remote learning. The lectures will be recorded, and actually that's the same for the students who join us in person. So you'll be able to either watch those live, or if they're not at a convenient time for you, you can watch them on catch-up. Classes, the seminar classes that is, will take place live. So you'll study synchronously with other students, and that's why we run them at different time slots throughout the day. To give you an example, it may well be that there's a 9 AM class slot for 9 AM UK time class slot for someone. So if you're from China today, for example, you'd be looking at a 5 PM afternoon slot for you. Equally, towards the end of the day, if we had a 5 PM, say, class time in the UK, if you're from the US, you'd be looking at a late morning class. Okay, and on to the course structure. Now, this is a LSE academic experience, and we don't shy away from the fact that it is an intensive academic experience, and you know that's why we know students come to us. So it's 54 hours of contact time across the 3 weeks. So really a substantial amount of teaching time, a great opportunity for you to engage with those academics that I described earlier. So that's split into 36 hours of lectures, and 18 hours of seminars, so the smaller, more interactive classes. Those classes typically will have around 20 people in them, so that they kind of facilitate conversation, and the lectures will be with the larger groups. As well, we'd expect students to engage in self-guided study to keep on top of their work. So you're probably looking at 5-6 hours in a typical day, Monday to Friday. So this really is an experience that we encourage people to kind of give over all their time to, whether you're joining us in London or remotely. You're going to find yourself busy and engaged, and especially with the other things we offer in the background, which I'll come on to shortly. Now, a word on assessment. Assessment is actually optional from our perspective. If you're planning to transfer credit back to your home university, it is really important that you check with your university about this before you join us. So our courses are recognised globally for credit, but it's actually your university that will make that decision. So that's just one thing. Make sure you do check that with your university. If you want to come to summer school and you don't want to sit an exam, you're not planning to transfer credit, that's fine. You can attend on an attendance basis, and your certificate and transcript would show that you joined us on those terms rather than sitting the exam. If you do go for the exam, so we have formative assessment, kind of the ongoing feedback that runs throughout your seminar classes. As well, you'll have a mid-session assessment, which typically comes into week 2 and is worth around 20% of your final grade. And then on the final Friday of the course, you'll have a final exam, and that's usually worth 80% of your final grade. There are 1 or 2 exceptions, but you can find details about assessments on each individual course page on the summer school website. Now, given the circumstances this year, I'm sure many of you are familiar with this already, but we are planning to run assessments on a remote basis. So that's whether you're with us in London or studying remotely. And after the course, we'll be grading everyone, or if you've taken the exam, that is, and then once they're ready, we distribute transcripts and certificates for students. So the transcript is typically the document your university would need for credit transfer, and the certificate is designed more of a memento of your time with us. Okay, so for students joining us in London, some words on some of the teaching facilities. So if you've been to central London, you'll know that there's not much space there at all. And the LSE campus is relatively small, so we've been very creative in terms of bringing up new buildings and replacing what's already there. And we've invested really heavily in producing some really fantastic teaching spaces. An example there in the bottom right, the centre building, that opened in 2019, and actually summer school students were the very first to engage in teaching and learning in there. And that's really kind of LSE's flagship teaching space now, really cutting edge facilities there. We've got a great student centre with gym, and the LSE library as well. It's the world's largest university library specialising in social sciences. So really fantastic students, resource for students joining us. And of course, we'll be making course readings and access to the digital readings available for our remote learners as well. And what's very nice about the campus, and actually London in general, is how the new sits side by side with the old. So we've got some fantastic old buildings on campus sitting right next to very modern facilities, and it creates a really nice blend. And as I say, that you'll see that reflected at large in London. Okay, onto the social programme and professional skills events. Now, of course, we know that people join us for summer school, not just for the academic experience, but actually for the broader opportunities that come with this kind of programme. So, of course, events might look a little bit different in 2021, given the circumstances. But the social programme really does remain a key part of summer school. And we'll be following government guidelines in terms of the plans that we make and the adaptations that we have to bring in to make sure that we can host COVID safe and socially distanced events if that's still necessary in the summer. So on screen now, you can see an example of the events that we're planning to run, which includes a mixture of in-person and virtual sessions. And what they're all really about is helping you to foster friendships, make new friends and build global networks, and where possible, experience some of the great attractions that London has to offer. It's a fantastic city. It always ranks very well in terms of global student cities, and it's really is a great place to explore. So as I say, we'll be developing this program as we get closer to the summer and we have a better understanding of what we're able to offer. So if you do apply, I'd encourage you to keep an eye on the social program pages of our website as we get closer to the program. As well as the social program, we have a really popular series of professional skills workshops. Now we know from employers and from people who assess graduate applications that obviously in a very competitive job market, businesses are increasingly looking for well-rounded graduates. So they receive applications from people with outstanding grades, but actually they're looking for people who've also taken the time to use university to broaden their transferable skills, to network, to go on internships, really to broaden their skill set. So the professional skills workshops are really about enabling you to take those first steps in doing that. So as you'll see there, we run a range of sessions that are designed to help your career readiness. So cover letter workshops, CV workshops, interview skills. We also run a range of sessions on entrepreneurship. We run well-being sessions. So this is really a great opportunity to take those first steps in kind of getting ahead when you come to graduate. Okay, and a word on LSE's location. So I mentioned a moment ago about London itself being a fantastic city, and LSE is a great location from which to explore this city. Now, you'll see the map on screen there. So the LSE Square represents our location, and I'm sure you may recognise some of those tourist attractions. Buckingham Palace, of course, being in the news a lot recently. London Eye, Covent Garden is walking distance up the road, a great place for bars and restaurants and shops. So it really is a fantastic location from which to go and explore what is a brilliant and very cosmopolitan city. Okay, a few words on applying, and then I'll pass over to my colleagues in accommodation. So applications are now open. It's designed to be a very kind of straightforward process for students. All we need is evidence that you meet our language requirement, as well as an academic transcript, which should show the courses you're studying and have studied and any grades that you've received. We don't need personal statements, we don't need reference letters, so it really is designed to be quick for you to complete, and we aim to get a response to you within 10 working days. So you'll see on screen there a guideline on entry requirements, so a GPA of 3.3 on a 4.0 scale, or B+, if you're on a letter grade scale. Now, course assessors can often be flexible on those grades, depending on the strength of the application as a whole. So to give you an idea of what I mean there, if you're applying for an economics course and in your home degree you've taken courses in economics, but also courses in, I don't know, languages or the sciences, the likelihood is the assessor is going to be most interested in the courses that are relevant to your summer school course. So if you perform well in those, that's probably going to give you a good chance of getting in. Now, for our 100 level, our introductory courses, we don't have any prerequisites. So there's nothing you needed to have studied previously to be eligible for those. There's just two exceptions in economics, micro and macroeconomics, where we need to see that you've got a background from your final years in school in mathematics. Otherwise, there's no prerequisites. So that's why they're a very popular option with people who are studying outside of their normal degree subjects. For 200 and 300 level courses, because they're drawing on content that people should have studied in their first year, they do have prerequisites for those. So you'll find details about those prerequisites. There's usually 1 or 2 per course on the individual course page, and you need to show that you've studied or will be studying before you join us in the summer those particular courses. Again, on screen there, you'll see some guideline on language requirements. So that's based on the LSE guidelines. Again, depending on the strength of the application as a whole, there can be some flexibility on those. Okay. We offer as well a 1-week preparatory English course. Now, this is an optional course, and it's 20 hours of teaching time over the week. So it's 5 days of teaching, and it's a really great chance for people to kind of grow confidence and really kind of get in the rhythm of studying in English. So of course, in 5 days, you're not going to learn the language, which is why you already need to show a background in English. But what it does help with, as I say, is building confidence. So it's particularly popular with people who may well have done, say, an IELTS certificate or one of the Cambridge certificates, but haven't studied in English at university level, or for students who really actually just want to come to London, put another week onto their trip, and again, kind of get into the flow of speaking in English in an academic environment. So it helps you kind of get to grips with academic vocabulary and make sure you can hit the ground running when your course proper begins. Okay, and finally on to summer school fees. So there is an application fee of £50 that goes towards us processing and assessing the application. And then the tuition fees you'll see on screen there, so £2,500 for 1 session, £4,200 for 2 sessions, and £4,980 for 3 sessions. So as you'll see, there are discounts if you take more than 1 course, and obviously if you're with us for 3 sessions, that 3rd session is actually really heavily discounted by that point. Applications are done online, so on the summer school website you'll find a link, and then all of that is completed online, and then that comes through to us, and as I mentioned a moment ago, we pick that up, pass it on to the course directors, and we hope to get an outcome to students within 10 working days, unless that is we need to come back to request further information. Okay, at this point, I'm going to just hand over to my colleagues from the accommodation team so that they can give you some information about the options in halls of residence.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Should be my colleague Victoria will give you some extra information about the accommodation, why to stay at LSE. I would like to share with you some practical information about the booking. We offer currently 4 properties where you can stay. The prices start from £38.25 per night. This is inclusive of breakfast. We're running a promotion that will expire on the 16th of April, and you can get the 25% discount on the standard rate for the accommodation in the I Holborn and Sydney Web property. If you need to book more than 1 session, so session 1 and session 2, the night in between the 2 sessions will be free of charge. You can make a booking once you receive the offer of a place from the summer school office, and the details how to make the booking will be included in the email. Our standard accommodation for each course is 20 nights. Currently, anybody arriving in the UK needs to isolate or quarantine for 10 days. We can offer this our halls to book if you contact the residence office, but is subject to changes. So we will be monitoring the government advice, and we will update you as we go along. If you need to cancel your booking or your isolation period accommodation that you booked already, you will be refunded 100% up to 7 days prior to your arrival. And if you have any questions, please just drop them in the question and answer, and I will be happy to answer to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Giuliana. I'll just quickly run through as well that slide that we had before with accommodation, just kind of just give a broad overview for you. So it is a really popular option with summer school students because obviously it gives you a chance to live alongside people who may be on your course or a different summer school course. So it's a great opportunity to meet people globally. They're really well located. LSE offers some of London's most central student accommodations. So some of the rooms will be walking distance from campus. Others you can just hop on a bus or the London Underground, our tube network, which is really easy to navigate and is quick to reach us on campus. So as Giuliana mentioned there, we've got rooms suiting a range of budgets. Really supportive network in halls itself, 24/7 reception desk and security, and those enhanced cleaning and hygiene protocols to support with keeping students safe during the current circumstances. As well, they are operating household bubbles, so people who share toilets and kitchens, that those areas are cordoned off so that only those students are using them, again to make sure we're keeping students as safe as possible. Okay. As well, in terms of more broad support for summer school students, we're a large program, so we have a large program of support staff. So we've got a summer school team who are available to support you Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 5:30, and that's before the program, during the program, and afterwards itself. So we have an open office during the summer, so students can just drop in and come and speak to us about whatever support they might need. And again, obviously, we'll be reciprocating that support on an online basis for our remote learners. So some of the support you might get in the build up to the program, of course, is admission support when you supply, guidance on making payments, booking accommodation. As well, for those of you who need them, we can produce visa letters, which you can use when you pass through immigration. So it's not the visa itself, but it's a letter to show that you've applied for our program, which explains why you're coming to the UK. During the program itself, as I say, we've got that student-facing office, but we offer wellbeing advice sessions as well to support students. We have an IT help desk, and then afterwards we have program documentation support. So whether that's through transcripts or certificate, we're there to provide you with those. And if you've got any issues with credit transfer as well, we'll be happy to liaise with your home university to try to support you with that process. Okay. At this point, I'm going to hand over to Akbar, our Summer School 2019 alumnus, and it's a pleasure to have you join us today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Akbar, and I'm currently a graduate student at the University of Oxford. I studied at the LSE Summer School in 2019, the last time it ran. I am doing a master's in law at Oxford, and I studied a law course when I was at the summer school. I studied a course called Comparative Human Rights, which is now called Comparative Human and Constitutional Rights. It was taught by one of LSE's, actually two of LSE's famous academics, Professor Kai Moeller and Sarah Trotter. Now, Kai is a very renowned academic. He works at the cutting edge of constitutional theory and human rights law. And it was such a wonderful experience for me to learn from Kai. Why did I do summer school? I was particularly interested in graduate study in the UK. So I knew that I would apply for a master's in law in the UK. So it was important for me to be able to show to my selectors that I can study in a UK academic environment without much difficulty. So that was important for me. Not to mention, studying at LSE presents you the opportunity to have a world-class education. And like Professor Mourato said, it is the opportunity to access LSE, which is otherwise difficult to access. What else? LSE's social events were quite good in the sense that we had workshops, as Rob mentioned, on CVs and cover letters and other professional skills. I remember that we had workshops and interviews and internship applications, which are all great. You can also do things on your own. In my year, LSE organized day trips to Oxford, Cambridge, and the Stonehenge. But even if LSE is unable to organize those trips this year, you can take a day trip to Oxford and Cambridge and explore these university towns on your own. So that's a great thing. And when I studied, I did come to Oxford, which is currently my home university. When I did apply to LSE, I was a fourth year undergrad back in India. So in India, law is a 5-year program, and I was in the fourth year of my program, and I applied to LSE. And it's LSE summer school is one of the fondest learning experiences of my life, and I am looking forward to coming back to LSE for the second master's if I do get in. And simply because of the joy of learning that I experienced at LSE, and I'd highly recommend learning at LSE. And for those of you in the legal circles, LSE is ranked the 6th best law school in the world. And I am planning on pursuing a second master's in political theory. And for political science, LSE is ranked the 5th best university in the world. So LSE is a world-class university, as Rob and Professor Mourato all mentioned. So I highly recommend attending LSE summer school. Yeah, that's what I had to say.
Brilliant. Thank you, Akbar, and great to hear you considering us for postgraduate study as well. That's not something I knew before you joined us, so that's great to know. Okay. At this stage, obviously, there's a lot of information that's come to you now. Just to reiterate, we do your best to answer all of your questions now. If you have any questions that spring up after the session, please do feel free to visit our website that you can see on screen there. So lse.ac.uk/summer-school, or contact us using those details displayed there. But at this stage, love to open it up to questions. So I'll go into the Q&A channel now. I know that a lot of questions have been asked as the session's been ongoing, but I'll pick up some of these questions now. Okay. Okay, what are the steps to be followed for availing academic director scholarship? And is this scholarship available for remote learning as well? Okay, great question, Rishabh. So actually a new scheme for 2021 that we're very excited about is to offer 2 scholarship places, and they're based on particular things that are actually very close to the research interests of Professor Mourato. So on the summer school website, you'll see a page for there that will outline the steps, but there's an application process, and we need a statement of intention in which you need to show how your interests with summer school align with the visions that LSE has. So the best thing there is to go onto that website page and take a look, and you'll get some more guidance there. So that will be available for both formats of the program. Okay. Okay. Can I know by when we could get the visa letters so that we could apply for the visas? So I'm a student from the 2020 program who couldn't come due to the pandemic. Actually, we'd pretty much be ready to start producing those very shortly. So the best thing there is just to drop an email to the summer school inbox to make that request. I think you should be able to also request it via your LSE for you account. So if you're a member from last year, you will have set up an account when you applied. If you go in there, I believe there's a link in there, but if you have any trouble locating it, just drop us an email at summer.school@lse.ac.uk. Okay, another question about the Academic Director Scholarship. Yes, that's for LSE Summer School. So that's the only two, those scholarships are the scholarships that are available for summer school. So that's, as I say, go onto the LSE Summer School website. There's a page for the Academic Director Scholarship and you'll find the details on there. But yes, that's the scholarship places that we offer for summer school. And question there from Yasmin, do you offer bursaries for low-income families, student loan as sixth form leavers? So again, I mean, the way we would support that is through that scholarship scheme. So again, the best resource for you would be to look at that. So that would be the kind of any financial support that we'd be able to offer students. So there wouldn't be any student loans offered for a summer school on a short course basis. Okay, question about prerequisites. Now, I should probably flag that because I'm not one of the course assessors, I can't give you definitive answers to these kind of questions, but will the CFA curriculum be considered for the prereqs because your background is in computer science? In almost all cases, academic directors will be looking for typical undergraduate degree level study of courses. In very rare cases, there are exceptions if someone can make very convincing case, for example, through a combination of courses that they've done and professional experience. But in the vast majority of cases, you should be aiming to meet the prerequisites through university study. So if you want to take an economics course and you don't have an economics background at university, it may be the case that you'd be best off looking at our 100 level, our introductory level economics courses. Okay, currently I've applied for session 1. Can I extend this to session 2 once you're in London during session 1? I mean, interesting question. I've seen it happen before. I mean, it's very often the case that people will make their applications and then suddenly say, do you know what, I want to come to a different session or a different course, and that's fine. We can make those changes subject to course availability. So that's the only thing I would say about leaving it that late to decide is you may find by that point that some of the most popular courses in session 2 have filled up. So it's an option. It might be possible, but it would very much depend on availability. So yeah, another way of looking at it would be if you want to do 2 sessions, but at this time you're not 100% sure, you could always apply for 2 sessions. And then if before the program you want to, you realize you can only do 1 session, as long as you withdraw at least 30 days before that second course, you'll be able to get a full refund for that second course. Okay, how many courses can I take for 1 session? Very good question. It's just 1 course. And the reason for that is because there's so much teaching time and study time that you'll need for it. You just wouldn't have time to balance the 2, because what you're studying in 3 weeks is what an LSE student would normally study across the whole semester. So we're really compressing it into those 3 weeks so to keep you busy. So it's just 1 course per session. Okay, and then a request for, yeah, thank you. My colleague's picking up. He's going to share a link to that scholarship page. If I apply for 2 sessions and get into 1 but not the second, how would that work? Firstly, with any application, it's very, very, very rare indeed for us to reject it outright. Sometimes people might accidentally miss the fact that they need to be university students or have been to university to apply, and we see that they're just not at the right age for the program, in which case it would be an outright rejection. Otherwise, we always look to give students an opportunity to, in the first instance, provide further details. So if you don't get an offer of a place on the course based on what you've provided, but you think that actually, I do meet the prerequisites, you can then come back to us to give us further information about why you think you meet those prerequisites. Otherwise, we can give you the option to switch onto a different course or just withdraw from that session. So we really aim to give you as much flexibility as possible. Okay, what would be great is if with Akbar here, the summer school alumnus, if anyone's got any questions about the student experience or about his experience in terms of, you know, how the application process went, or any tips that he had on the program, any questions for our summer school alumnus, please let us know. Okay, I have some. Akbar, in terms of your experience in London as a student, how did you find it settling in? Obviously, a lot of people are arriving and may not have been in the UK before. Some people perhaps haven't ever travelled before. How did you find that in terms of getting to grips with the city?
So it was my first time away from my home city. Actually, I hadn't even interned out of my home city. So the first time I stepped out of home, I just moved to a different country for 3 weeks. It was actually not very difficult. And later that year, when I interned in the capital city of my country, I found it more difficult because I didn't know the language there. But with London and the UK, it's English. So it's easy to find your way around. You can ask people, and there are so many signboards around London. London's a very nice place, so it's not difficult to settle in or move around. And I stayed at Northumberland House, which is a 10-15 minute walk from LSE, and summer's a really nice place to be in London because you have these long days and it's generally warm. So I just slowly walk around the city, and my walks to LSE were also great. Yeah, so
great. Good stuff. Yes, generally warm. That generally word's the important one there. As we get closer to the program, we often get students asking about, you know, what do we need to pack for the weather. It's impossible to tell you for a sudden London summer. We can have boiling days, and then the next day it will drop 15 degrees, and suddenly you've got your coat on again. So yeah, but often we have very lovely summers, despite what you might see in the movies of snow always blanketing London. There's another question for you, Akbar. Just general tips on how best to take advantage of the program.
Okay, so I'm a little bit of a nerd, so I will genuinely insist that you actually learn throughout the program, because it is a great opportunity, and it's and for many people it will be it'll be a once in a lifetime thing to study at LSE or at an institution in the UK. So, and also you get access to some of the world's leading minds. In my case, Kai was truly remarkable. He is one of the greatest teachers I've ever had. He's really good in the classroom, and he knows how to play devil's advocate when he has to. He knows how to get information out of you without making, without creating a hostile environment. So you have access to that kind of academics, and to make the best out of class, you have to read. So you attend this lecture or seminar in the morning, and then you attend the class in the afternoon. Classes are usually not that, I mean, it depends, varies from class to class, but just more of an application from what we learned in the morning. And then in the evening, spend some time studying. I mean, feel free to do other things as well, as long as you can schedule it. So for instance, in my there were a lot of there was a lot of theater. There were a lot of theater events happening, and my friends used to attend them. I'm not a huge fan of theater, so I just restricted myself to the day trip to Oxford, and also I went on the Thames boat ride, which is also great. And yeah, I mean, but please definitely do study and make the most of the educational experience as well, because like you can not end up not doing that, but I think you should. I did not transfer my credits, but I did take the exam, and learning for that exam was an important experience for me, because I am taking a much more comprehensive version of the course that I did at LSE now at Oxford. And the things that I've learned at LSE still remain with me. So I think you should make the most of this as an intellectual experience as well. Yeah.
Great, fantastic, great answer. And did you find that being disciplined with your weekdays, then did that allow you to kind of explore London and things on the weekends?
Yeah, I mean, so between the time from the lecture/seminar in the morning and the class in the afternoon, I could walk around, have lunch, and that itself would mean that I could try a different restaurant on a different day. I could go to one of LSE's restaurants, including the 4th floor restaurant, but I could also go around, try new food, and on the walk back home, I could also move around a little. Uh, but but if you can, restrict, spend more of your time during the weekdays with studies, then the weekends are pretty free, because while it is a serious academic enterprise, it is also not something that is imagined to take all of your time, in the sense that you guys design it so that we can make the most out of a time in London. So
great, yeah, very wise advice. I think it's true. I mean, it's the as I mentioned earlier, the program is intensive in terms of its academic experience, but it has to be to LSE standards. But of course, it's very much about giving you more than just what you get in the classroom. So using your days wisely, Monday to Friday, really does mean you can do lots of great things in the evenings and the weekends. Question from Freya, thank you. Having the opportunity to attend LSE Summer School programme, would this leverage a better potential during a grad school applications to LSE? Now, we don't advertise LSE as your way into grad school programme, so we can't make any promises that come into LSE Summer School, getting a good grade will then definitely get you a place on an LSE postgraduate programme. Sorry. However, of course, we would hope that for LSE or any university, if you're coming to us, studying with us, doing very well, then it's only going to enhance your prospects. As I mentioned at the start, these courses are taught and assessed to normal undergraduate LSE standards. So if you perform very well, it's really over to you then in your statement and your application to show how that university experience means you're ready for postgraduate study in the UK. And actually, we do have quite a few students who join us in the summer who go on to postgraduate study. And actually, sometimes it's a condition of entry, particularly if they're joining a course with us at LSE and they're missing one or two key courses from their undergraduate degree. It may well be that the LSE department will then say you need to come to summer school to make sure you've got that background before you join us. So yes, we hope it enhances any application, whether it's for a postgraduate study or professional job, but of course we can't make any promises there. Do we have trip to Oxford and Cambridge this time? It's a well-timed question. You may or may not know that the UK government has laid out a roadmap in terms of how we come out of the restrictions that are in place at the moment because of COVID. So what that does is give us hope for the summer that we can offer a more expansive social programme that's a little bit closer to what we would offer in previous years. So some of that, for example, might involve the boat trip on the Thames that Akbar mentioned a moment ago. At this time, it is too early for me to say we will definitely be running this or that. What we certainly will be running are many events to encourage social interaction, but in terms of specifics, particularly with trips out of London, it's just a little bit early at this stage to make any guarantees. But we will offer what we can offer as long as it's safe for you and allowed. So if you apply, just keep your eye on the summer school website. Okay, there's no open questions at the moment. If anyone has any final questions they want to ask now, please do. Okay, one's popped up. I'm trying to attend a master's program. If I get accepted or show that I'm in the process of application at the moment, will I get the student rate or the standard rate? You need to be Yeah, you need to show evidence that you're in full-time study. This is a good question, actually. Could you send this one into the summer school inbox? Just because I'm not 100% sure actually what the answer to that question is. Send it into some school inbox and we'll make sure that someone who does know the answer picks it up. Thank you. Okay, we've just passed the hour, so I think I'll put it to a close just after this one final question that's just popped up. So if I'm in session 1, when do I have to reach London? Okay, actually, that's a fantastic question probably to close on, because it reaches to some, you know, wider important issues at the moment with international travel and things. So session 1 starts on the 21st of June. Normally, we would get students to arrive on the 20th of June. And the booking, actually, standard booking in accommodation starts on the Sunday. Now, at the moment, international travel into the UK, people are subject to a 10-day quarantine. And it may well be the case that that's in place in the summer, but at this stage, we can't say that with certainty. So on the summer school website and in our FAQs, there's some guidance and some links to the UK government international arrivals advice. So when you have to arrive, if it's to do with quarantine, that's obviously going to be determined by the government rather than the LSE. So if the programme was starting in 2 weeks' time, you'd have to be arriving 10 days early. If we're talking about the summer, we don't yet know with 100% certainty whether that will still be in place. So at this stage, you can get your application in, you can make your accommodation booking. If closer to the time it does become clear that you're going to still need to book a quarantine period in halls, you can add those nights on. And as our colleague mentioned earlier, they are offering a 25% discount, well, until mid-April. That discount's in place for room bookings. Okay, so full student to get the student rate, what do you mean by that? Okay, there's 2 fee rates, actually. The ones displayed earlier were the student rate. So we offer a rate for full-time students and then a rate for people who aren't in full-time study now. So the rate for people outside of full-time study who you know, likelihood is that they're part-time working or working, that there's a different fee rate that's slightly more expensive than the student rate. So if you go onto the LSE Summer School website into the fees section, you'll find a fees table there that will display that. So maybe Ella or Harriet, if you could just drop them a link now, so that they can go directly to that page. Okay. Right, I think I'll draw that to an end now. Thank you so much for your questions, some really great questions, and of course it's been fantastic for you all to join us, and thanks as well everyone for their contributions with their presentations, and Akbar for giving us your time today as well. As I say, if you do have any further questions, please get in touch with us. We'd be happy to answer them, and you know, we really hope we can welcome you to the programme this summer. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day.